Hello, how he's doing? Right, back again, straight from the jump. Just want to let you know I'm a bit under the weather. And with the weather being shite, I feel like, oh God, I've sworn the first 10 seconds, man. This is like a wrestle for 5 minutes. But there we go. I'll try not to swear for a bit longer. Yeah, so I just wanted to get this out, and something I just want to let you know. I've got to move house again because of the state of this house, and we're doing it in a few days before Christmas, which is mad stressful, especially since my partner's away and she's not back till tomorrow. And obviously I'm running about doing the things. This house has just done my beans in. So hence why I'm going to do this after today's show, which I wasn't gonna do because I'm not well, but I thought I'd get something out, and then I'm going to take until next Tuesday off, and then I'll be back all over Christmas basically. Because right now, man, I'm just, if I don't take a break and step back and get a pan of soup on and start doing some proper self-care, I'm going to get properly ill again, and that would just be ridiculous, like, to do that again. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do what people are telling us to do, which is to take a bit of time. But before I do that, I'm going in on the Labour Party today. And it's a bit of a follow-up from the show that we did in the recent past, October the 14th to be exact, about the NHS and the Labour Party and how they're not to be trusted, because they're not to be trusted on anything. I wouldn't trust them to run a bath. So we're going to follow that up, and I've got plenty video that I've been pulling together to basically demonstrate that, like, to the right of the Tories on certain things. This is specifically focused around the NHS. But before we do, some of you might not have seen the piece that we put together on October the 14th. So I'm going to play like a little clip from that, and we're going to take it from there. So I'll just add this to the stream. Look at that good-looking bugger there, man. What a wonderful... Nah. That's me right there. So this is a clip from the October the 14th show, as I said, and we'll go from there. Let us know you're here in the comments. I see some of you are joining and whatnot now. Nice to see you. Who's here? So this is what we're speaking about then. A lot of people don't believe any of this, which is interesting. Just like some people believe the Ford report was a conspiracy theory, which blew my mind, but never mind. So anyway, what do we have? From the Independent, 15th of July, 2023, excuse me. Keir Starmer scraps pledge to end NHS private sector outsourcing. Labour leader suggests breaking promise could help him win election. I mean, like, let's face it, he's got plenty previous of breaking promises to help win an election. He got absolutely skewered by Penny Mordaunt yesterday on breaking his 10 pledges, which was an open goal, and the Tories were always going to keep it in reserve and pull it out for the motherlode, which is what they did yesterday. I would strongly suggest when people start getting on this stuff, Labour aren't going to look like such a good bet for any kind of election. Moving on. Now, the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, you can check out the credentials for yourself if you wish. Good. It says Labour's mystery 600k donor Martin Taylor revealed as Mayfair hedge funder. What's going on? So it says the Bureau can reveal that Labour's third largest individual cash donor since the last election helped run Nevsky Capital, a hedge fund based near Bond Street in Mayfair, West London. It has previously held significant stakes in controversial Russian energy companies, Gazprom and Lukoil. And according to its latest filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission in the US, it held 15 million of shares in United Health at the end of last year. Watch out for United Health, there's more. United Health, a huge US health insurance firm worth 76 billion, is one of several companies currently bidding for a 1.2 billion NHS contract for end-of-life care. The stakes are under the control of Nevsky Capital and not Martin Taylor himself. There's no suggestion of any inappropriate action by either Mr. Taylor or Nevsky Capital. Martin Taylor also met Ed Miliband on July the 3rd, 2013. Just 1 week later, the Labour leader attacked David Cameron at Prime Minister's questions by saying the Tory party relied heavily on hedge funds for donations. Now, we'll come back to that. In further scene setting, this is a short clip, an interview with somebody called Dr. Bob Gill. Now, Dr. Bob Gill has made a film called The Great NHS Heist, which you can see for yourself on YouTube. I've personally yet to watch it, but I will be doing that this week. Check it out. But in the meantime, this is what Bob has to say.
Systems have significant autonomy. They have their own boards, which are, as I said, dominated by private corporations. And from those fixed budgets, they have significant freedom to decide which services they provide on an organizational level, and also mechanisms to deny care on an individual level. And money not spent on healthcare is kept as profit. So the problem with these new legal entities, these public-private partnerships, is that there is minimal democratic oversight. We have a mainstream media that has largely ignored the privatization. So it will be down to, dedicated activists to try and expose what's going on, but it shouldn't be like that. We have companies like McKinsey, which are a management consultancy, that have drawn up procedures that these managers and accountants consider the taxpayer shouldn't be funding anymore. Now, this is an arbitrary list. It's not based on any evidence. One example might be joint replacement. So they will decide certain criteria by which a patient is allowed to have joint replacement surgery. Now, at what point has this discussion ever been taken place by politicians in the public domain? It hasn't happened. Only a select few of activists actually realize that this is how the system will work. So you will have a gradual salami slicing away of the comprehensive nature of the NHS, which is publicly funded. And that creates a demand for private health insurance to top up and replace what the NHS used to provide. So you have a contraction in supply, a contraction in capacity within the NHS, and guess who steps in? The private sector. So you have a two-tier system, a bit like America, where you have a publicly funded element and you have a growing privately funded insurance-based element. But controlling both will be large multinational corporations dominated by American corporations. The insurance company United Health are key players in this, and also the insurance company Centene, which we now know is Britain's largest provider of primary care.
That was Dr. Bob Gill there, the guy behind the Great NHS Heist documentary. That was posted on TikTok by @FinancialEyes. Check them out. I'll just add myself. This is me now. What a quick change of clothing that was. I was much better looking in October, I think. So basically, I just wanted to do a follow-up, as I say, before I take a little bit of time off and just get this out into the world, because just the neck of these people is absolutely ridiculous right now. So some further stuff here. I'll just pull it up. Right, so this is like during the lockdowns, right? I'll just share this tab instead, and we'll crack on with this one. When I find it, you can tell I'm not very well. I'm not very on the ball. Just as I said, just bear with us today, and we'll get it in the end. Oh my God, my throat. Anyway, let's nail the Labour Party for being liars together. Right, we'll just put this in. Here we go. So this is during the lockdowns, and I just wanted to show how duplicitous these people actually are. Right, so is this bloody working? Best live stream ever, isn't it? Here we go. And so we dance.
Mr. Speaker, my mum was a nurse. My sister was a nurse. My wife works in the NHS. I know what it means to work for the NHS. When I clapped for carers, I meant it. He clapped for carers, then he shut the door in their face at the first opportunity. And the more you look at the Prime Minister's decision, the worse it gets. Because it's not just a pay cut, it's a broken promise too. Time and time again, he said that the NHS wouldn't pay the price for this pandemic. 2 years ago, he made a promise to the NHS. Here in black and white, his document, it commits to a minimum pay rise of 2.1%. It's been budgeted for and now it's being taken away. He shakes his head. His MPs voted for it. So why, after everything the NHS has done for us, is he now breaking promise after promise?
Dafty, absolute dafty. So he's given it all this. Fortunately, we'll have receipts. So that's always a beautiful thing, especially when it comes to this band of mugs. So that was Starmer giving it the whole. My mum was a nurse. My partner, she works in the NHS. But some more scene setting. So this is from the TUC, Trade Union Congress. New 2022 has been the UK's worst year for real wage growth since 1977. Britain needs a pay rise. The way Starmer's talking there, you would obviously think, hey, he's a safe bet. All the NHS sort of background he's got. He's definitely going to go to bat for the NHS. Or is he? What does it say here? So this was somebody quote tweeted this from this original tweet from Keir Starmer from yesterday. And he put this out because of the hammer him and Wes Streeting have been getting. And we'll come on to Streeting in a minute. If you want to know more about Streeting and his background, he took a 15 grand donation from somebody with interest in private healthcare. Please go to the video that I just played, which is in the Should I Vote for Labour playlist on the Cow Daily YouTube channel. What it says here, Keir Starmer, our doctors and nurses are heroes. Labour will train a new generation of them so we get waiting times down. After 12 years of the Tories, it's time to put the NHS first, not the non-doms. Talking about non-domiciled tax arrangements for people. And this is such such a blag comparison, but we haven't got time to interrogate that today. Somebody's quote tweeted from 12th of December 2022, yesterday, I believe. So Keir Starmer says 19% pay rise for nurses is unaffordable as he pleads for last-ditch talks to stop strikes. Please for them, does he? So, as we've seen, they're all lying to her. They're two cheeks of the same arse. And fortunately, we can keep receipts and we can present this. And this is why I was keen, as ill as I am today, to get this made, because we need to pull this together and get it out in the world. Now, this isn't going to be my best performance talking, but fortunately, there's plenty video. So please do, when I take a bit of time off, share this with people. Because if I die, this will be my legacy. Keir Starmer, here's another one from during the lockdown period. This hashtag International Nurses Day, I'd like to say thank you to all of our incredible nurses. We can't go out and clap for them every week, but then return to business as usual after the crisis. We owe them so much more than that. I mean, the crisis is still happening. I mean, the crisis referring to as COVID. And I don't know if anybody's checked the figures lately, but please go and buy some FFP2 masks and watch what you're doing this Christmas. Ventilate, do all the things you know to do, because arguably this is potentially the worst Christmas. And anyway, he was saying this during the lockdown times. And as we'll go on, you'll see the absolute lies that are coming out of the man. It's madness. Further, actually, we'll come back to that in a minute. We'll play some more of this. Right. Oh, God, this is a belter, this one. He's got the face on and everything. This was from 16th of April, 2020. Hold on a minute. Oh, God, I've got to go share this again. 2 seconds. Having a bit of mare on the tech today, but who gives a monkeys? I'm trying my best with a really bad illness. Hopefully it doesn't get worse. Right. Share this one. Wonderful. See what this absolute mug lips is saying now, shall we? Watch again.
For the fourth week running, we'll go out tonight onto our doorsteps to clap our carers and our key workers and thank them for everything that they're doing. This coronavirus has shown us so clearly who our key workers really are. People working in the health service, the care service, shopkeepers, those working in supermarkets, cleaners, porters, the police, paramedics, and so many others, going out every day, keeping our country going, and quite literally putting their lives on the line. And when this pandemic is over, we can't return to business as usual. We owe them much more than that. We need to listen to them. They need to be paid better, better working conditions, safety at work. And I urge the government to listen to them, because we have to have a vision of a better society, coming out of this. And until then, we go out, we clap, we speak for our key workers and carers, and we thank them for everything that they're doing.
What an absolute rotter. Rotter. So, like he's invoking his mother, his wife, all this NHS stuff, and he's blagged people to bits, evidentially, to basically put him in as Labour leader and then do whatever he wanted. Now, I haven't put it in today, but like I've worked out how to search posts on the Facebook page, which I've never really been able to do before, right? And we found some bangers of people and what we were saying and warning people, do not vote for this guy. Like, he's going to do this, that, and the third. Well, just people want to just start listening to it, because, like, here's the thing, right? We don't base anything on anything other than absolute solid evidence. We believe in what we're doing, and we're really trying hard, not just to put journalism out, but I'm learning it on the job. I'm not really a journalist, but I've got a press card on the way, so I guess that would make it. But I just cannot sit by, as ill as I am today, and just let this go undone, because I'm not really seeing, like, who's doing this, like, who's going, oh, by the way, here's a timeline of stuff, here's the lies. And I guarantee you, there's people today still, when I'm pointing this out, going, oh, you're a Tory, you're helping the Tories. Darren Grimes, right? Darren Grimes and was praising them yesterday on Wes Streeting on the NHS, because they all want it carved up by, like, libertarians just like them. I mean, he doesn't know his arse from his elbow, and he's a disgrace to the Northeast, but that's evidential, apart from if you, like, sit there seething watching GBBs every day, getting your head in a twist. Anyway, bit of Wes Streeting. I apologise for putting his face on the screen, but what are you going to do? One of the most duplicitous horror bags going.
We have independent pay review bodies, and I think the unions have raised some legitimate concerns about how they work. I'd be willing to look at that, but what I'm not prepared to do, Sophie, this morning is to create hostages to fortune, and worse still, make promises for 2 years' time that I may not be able to keep, because when I come on your programme and say the Labour Party will deliver the biggest expansion of NHS staff in history, it's because I can guarantee what it would cost, how we would pay for it, and the decision it would make. That's the approach we're taking to all of our policies. And sometimes I know it's frustrating for people who want us to go further, faster, for all of the campaign and lobby groups who want us to adopt this policy or that policy, but the Conservatives have crashed the economy. The public finances are in a real mess. And I want to make sure, as all of us in the Labour Party do, that when we go into the election, the public can have confidence that we can keep the promises that we make.
Keep the promises that you make. You cannot lie straight in bed, man. Streeting, shut the fuck up. Oh yes, we're on 18 minutes. I can swear again. Fuck you, Wes Streeting. You fucking lying twat. Absolutely. Listen, I'm not going to put the context in about him. I've done a whole piece on this, and it needs to be watched in context. But we did a little trail for it at the start of the show. So if you're just joining now, there's a bit there about Starmer. Why Streeting is lying here is in that. And I get that this is like doing mate's homework or something, but this is the state of our country. This is like, if we do not work out who is messing with us, right, we can never build something based in the truth. The neck of people telling us to vote Labour, when this is just the tip of the iceberg of the lies. And he is using this to just, oh yeah, well, we can't, like, you know, because we don't know what's going to happen then. They started with that playbook a few months ago, right? And it's like, oh, well, the Tories. And it was exactly what Cameron's Tories did. It was exactly what Cameron's Tories did about this whole, like, joke note that was left by one of Gordon Brown's people in the Treasury about, oh, the money's gone. The money's never gone, man. They can just, all of this is a policy choice. The nurses are being mugged off and medical staff are being mugged off. And what's a beautiful thing to see is medical staff stepping up and calling Labour out. And as I said on that show on October the 14th, when this stuff starts hitting the mainstream, and it started to, then people are going to start switching on to Labour. And what I really want, I've thought about this, people are like, well, what's the solution? It's not my job to set up a political party, even though I will do this if the people that we've referenced before get in touch. I'll fill the forms out with you today. It's not my job. My job is to point this out. We can build solutions when we know what we're dealing with. So I see that as like my job alongside other people in the independent media, because the mainstream media isn't going to do this in a timely enough fashion, or they're going to drip feed it and release it when it's politically expedient to the people that they operate as client journalists for. Rachel Kearsmouth, people like that, Pippa Crerar, people like that for the Labour Party. Like, there's absolutely not a chance in hell, right, that either the Tories or the Labour Party are not going to privatise the NHS. And one of the problems with Streeting, and I've went into depth in this in the show that was on October the 14th, one of the problems is post-Brexit, a lot of NHS workers have gone and they're not coming back. Why would you when you've been made to feel this unwelcome? Secondly, he's talking about getting spare capacity from the private sector. The private sector are already getting spare capacity. Well, no, it's not even spare. Surgeons, whatever, from the NHS. There is not the staff. So all they're doing here, they're using this as an excuse to get our money, taxpayers' money, and putting it more and more into private hands for their donors. Go and look at October the 14th. Seriously, man. We need to be mindful and aware of what's going on with our NHS. Me personally, and I'm sure many of us out there, I would be dead without the NHS. A lot of us would have a terrible quality of life, and they're talking about bringing in this American-style system. I know because I've been told anecdotally, so just take it on that basis, that there's people in the finance sector rubbing their hands, speaking openly about the carve-up that's to come. So do not ever in your life tell me to vote for that. None of these parties will build this solution when we know the truth. And this is the bloody truth. Anyway, more. Check out this guy, right? Keir Starmer. Listen to what he's actually saying. It's all just vibes and optics. Look at this, man.
Have you got what you need? You just get Lara back. Have you got what you need? Because we'll get Lara back. Yeah.
Have you got what you need? Here's me and my NHS wife stood next to you. We'll go down lower and we'll clap for the carers. Because there's no substance to these people. It was all about a photo op, as we've seen in the other daft videos he's making in his garden when we're on lockdown, like puppy dog eyes about the NHS. You can trust me because of my NHS connections. Aye. Big cop energy. Big shame. You're shameful, man. Like, let's not just talk about the NHS in an abstract. As I've said, I'd be dead without the NHS, right? And here's the thing, right? When we can't afford this, because we've seen this with many things like tuition fees and other things. It starts out like, oh, we've just got to do this because you're a public person. That we don't have to do any of that stuff. We should be nationalising things more. Yes, the NHS does need reform and whatever, but it's been on a managed decline for years, and Labour are going to continue that because they're compromised. Do you remember Corbyn with that redacted, before the 2018 election with John McDonnell, the redacted document that he had, which demonstrated that the American health sector were rubbing their hands in glee. And what did the press do? Say it was like you got the documents from Russia, et cetera, and further smeared him and John. This is what we're dealing with. And this is why we sit here every fucking day trying to build this thing. So if you wanted to help us do this and put the truth out and build our own institutions, media companies, hopefully political parties to come and more, please go to patreon.com/cowdaily, obviously to help us build a media institution that we're going to start doing more of this. Because at the minute, it's pretty much just me, save for a few other bits of help that I get. I could really do some help as well, because this stuff, we're not seeing this plotted out. No, who's doing this? Speaking of Cameron, right? Here's one of Cameron's MPs, right? I'll just move this on 2 seconds. Anna Soubry, one of these Change UK people. And by the way, they're just trying to turn the Labour Party into a version of that. So bloody liberal, centrist, whatever you want to call them, what can just go, oh, this is fantastic, yeah. Like we'll build the odd Sure Start Centre. We'll probably maybe not even do that. Oh, by the way, we've wrecked the NHS. Anna Soubry, listening to Wes Streeting on Channel 4 News. He's so impressive, straight talking, hugely able and informed, and bursting with realistic solutions to the crisis in the NHS. And somebody's replied, says everything a Cameron MP approves of him. And it does. It does say everything. It does say everything about what these people are and what they're about. It's continuity Cameron, whereas Starmer in his leadership election was pitching himself as continuity Corbyn. Go back to the Should I Vote Labour playlist if you want. Click play all and watch the whole thing. We've catalogued every bit of this duplicity. It's the information's there and it's put together. We really need to be informing ourselves and the people around us about what the hell is really going on and what's to come. Because guess what, man? If we keep going into winters like this and getting ill like we are because we're scared to put the heating on, because that's what a lot of this is about, we're not going to have healthcare in a timely fashion. I mean, just now, there was a woman who almost bled to death with an ectopic pregnancy who waited over 24 hours for an ambulance. That is one out of several cases because the NHS has been in managed decline for a long time, and the neck of these people to do this. Well, let's look at this duplicity again. Did you get what you need?
Have you got what you need? You just get Lara back. Have you got what you need? Because we'll get Lara back.
Have you got what you need? Please get my face on the telly so I'm clapping for the carers that I'm going to absolutely rinse. Like the clip we've seen earlier, oh yeah, they need more money. Starmer, oh no, well they can't have an inflation-linked pay rise at all. They haven't had a pay rise, the nurses, for 12 years, man. 12 years. Off the top of my head, their wages are worth, in real terms, 5,000 less. £5,000 less than they were 12 years ago. And you've got these ghouls, man. And because that's what they are, messing with people's lives and playing with them. It's disgusting. And I'm sure you're aware it's disgusting if you tune into this like as often as many of you do. But what the hell, man? I mean, here's a quick poll that we pulled up here. It's from something called Politics UK. Do you trust that Labour Party will fix the NHS? Yes, 37%, no, 63%. So it seems to be cutting through that people understand. It's a relatively small sample size, 1,529. But it is a guide. It is a guide. This cannot continue, man. Like, look, I care about the NHS so much. I'm sitting here on a day when I'm just ill and I should just be getting a pan of soup and just like under me scratcher, you know, but I care about this so much. I care about people being lied to so much. And like the puppy dog eyes thing from these absolute horror bags. Do you know what this will do to people? It's just horrifying, man. Like my parents are old, man, and it's such a worry, you know what I mean? They shouldn't be entering the retirement like scared to put the heating on and worrying about whether they'll get healthcare. They've paid into the system all of their lives. That's what it's for. It's our money through tax and national insurance. That's how you run a country, man. Like you're meant to invest in the infrastructure and you're meant to invest in our institutions like the NHS. They can talk about like sort of extra investment and this, that, and the third, or training all these new doctors and whatever. Do you know how long it takes to train doctors, man? It's like, I believe the degree is something like 5 years, and then they've got to work as junior doctors after that. It's too little, too late. What we need is we need to go back to freedom of movement, I'm afraid. There's no other case for it. And Starmer has come out in the past couple of weeks and said that'll not happen, not under his watch. Absolutely disgusting. And I think we're also knackered and tired that we're not keeping abreast of this like we should. Because the amount of people on my YouTube channel and all other platforms who are like calling me, a Tory, for pointing this out is a scandal, man. Pull your heads out of your arse because it's like turkeys voting for Christmas, this. If you vote for Labour, this is on you. Just the same as it was for the people who voted Tory in 2019. This is all on you. And the people who aided and abetted that, it's on you. All of this is your fault. It isn't our fault. We were talking about this then. Like, it's not Jeremy Corbyn's fault. He held up that document then, redacted, and went, look at this. And the media circled around it and beat them down. And it's not just down to the fact of access and client journalism because they wouldn't get access to these politicians. It's not just that. There's something deeper at play here. And trust me, we're working on uncovering what's going on. I see there's comments. We'll take some of that before I get off and get back to my sick bed. Right. Who we got in? Jacqueline's in. Hello, mate. Labour aren't to blame for the last 12 years, but if someone like Starmer gets in, they'll be to blame for the next 5 or so years after the next GE. I'd counter that, Jacqueline. I think they are to blame. They are to blame for playing politics with people's lives and being absolute rotters. Now, you've triggered something off there. I'm going to disprove your statement, not today, but when I come back, or I'm going to make a note and I'm going to show why the messing about during the Miliband era and other times by even politicians that we like. I'm going to demonstrate why they're not as to blame in that period, but they certainly are now. So what else we got here? Let's see who else is about. Kirsty Smith. Correct. I've sat in meetings and seen them vote through policies, but only if the media don't find out before elections. Do get in touch. Do let us know. I'd really like to know more about that. Big Bob Grady in the house. Gaslighting full force on both political parties. Totally is, mate, and we won't let them get away with it. So please, everybody, share this. Watch the entire file that we've put together on should you vote Labour. Like, look, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm not going to sit and spend a life where I'm just going to take this shit. It's not happening. I'm not doing it. I'm not built like that. And I'm going to sit here like when I should be in bed. I'm going to do this and turn up. Jez Hunt, nice to see you, brother. By the way, absolutely fantastic work on your Instagram at the minute. I'm really loving your work. Jez is saying, I heard generic politician of whatever party Wes Streeting has been shoved forward to be party leader someday, I'm assuming, of the Tories. Would it, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, would it make any difference? If you've got Darren Grimes praising Labour Party on the NHS, and you've got, like a couple of weeks ago, Nigel Farage, this is madness, man. Nigel Farage praising the Labour Party on immigration. Listen, how on earth can we vote for this? It's absolutely crazy talk, man. Do not, just do not patronize me with this Tory vote Labour shit anymore. Do not patronize me with this just anything but the Tory shit. You're a liar and you're lying to yourself, and you can hate on me all you want, but I'm telling you the truth. And sometimes, right, people during these times, the ones that tell the truth, will get hated. And look, I accept that. I accept it. I mean, you've seen there the work that we did in October and stuff that we knew about before. People will give a mad amount of shit for that then. But we're right. We're not wrong. So chat your shit all you want, right? Chat your shit. The top and bottom of it is, we're not wrong, and you're living in a fucking dream world. Anyway, I'm going back to bed, and I'm going to make a pan of soup, like. But before I do, please support our work at patreon.com/cowdaily. There's Joanne with the eyes there. Nice one. Sorry, I'm having a mare with the buttons today. Just really shaky and like fluey, you know what I mean? So please support work, patreon.com/cowdaily. You make one-off donation to our work via the PayPal link in the description. Right, that's that then. Down with the Labour Party and the Tories. Well, I don't know what the solution is yet, but we're working it out as we go along. Don't look at people like us for a solution when there's politicians on the left who are letting us down. Get a new party started and we'll get behind you and all will be forgiven. But until then, you're as bad as this lot. Anyway, bye. See you later. Rah. I'm full of hell, but I'm ill, so I can't fully go into it. Anyway, love yous. And as I said, I'm ill and I'm moving house in a couple of days. My partner's away. So if you didn't catch that at the start, I'm going to take a few days off and just get myself together. But be back all over Christmas because I don't give a shit about Christmas really. And I'll be at it because guess what? We're opponents, right? Do you remember Do you remember when the Brexit deal happened? And what day was it? That's right. It was this day, Christmas Eve. So I got ill soon after that, terribly, as you recall. And I'm certainly not going to do that again. Point taken off everybody. So just bear in mind, these ghouls, when we're looking the other way, will absolutely try and rinse us on something. And I'm just not having it. I'm never going to have it. So please share the work, get behind what we're doing, and I'll see you next week on Tuesday. See you later, chaps. Bye-bye.